to the server, because you have to start before I can. Otherwise, it won't catch you.
On air.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
Welcome to Red Nation Rising Radio. As you can tell, it is my first night producing, and I hit the wrong button. But that's okay, because Rick said he's going to cut me some slack tonight. I don't know if he's still on the air with me or not. You still there, Rick? Alright, so we lost Rick, but we're here, and we're so glad to have you. Shout out to me in the chat room, first night producing. I hear you saying yay, so that means that you can hear me, and I'm flying solo tonight, but I'm really glad to be here, and I'm gonna have two great hosts on with me tonight that I know are going to do all the talking. So welcome, and I'm just so glad to have you on the Reddest Hour on radio. So we've got a couple of things going on tonight. There's lots of stuff in the news. You guys have been just turning out some amazing tweets. But something happened on Twitter that we're actually going to talk about on the show. And it just turned out to be a really great opportunity for us to have these two ladies on to talk about their shows and their work with human trafficking and sex trafficking, and why one feminist refused to talk to them. You guys are going to love this. So as we are going into that, and we've set up that a little bit, I just want to tell you that tonight we want to recognize a couple of really great tweets that I just got like late this afternoon. You may not have even seen yet. So Arnott, West Virginia sent a really great story out from Hot Air that Ted Cruz has invited Donald Trump to speak at a leadership conference and this is a really great story because it really goes into, and I encourage you to go out to Arnott, West Virginia and find that story. It's on Hot Air. It's really great. It goes into all the nuances of Cruz and Trump and goes on for quite a while, but that was a really great story. So thank you very, very much, R&R West Virginia, for doing that for us. For showing me that story. I really enjoyed reading that, and I really appreciate it. And R&R Utah, we had a little fun with something today. There was a story that came out about John Boehner, our favorite person, who called Ted Cruz again. And kudos to Ted Cruz for actually getting into the news. Good job. It's all been dominated lately by one person, and Cruz managed to get himself into it. But John Boehner called him a word that Rick would probably rather me not say on the air. Starts with a Jack and it ends with two S's. So I really think you know what I'm talking about. But this is another great story. Utah tweeted, and a lot of you tweeted, and Utah followed up with a follow-up tweet that said that John Boehner is a part-time conservative, part-time when he's running for office, and the rest of the time fighting really hard for the other team, which I found to be extremely interesting way to put it. Utah really liked that. John Boehner's fighting for the other team. He's playing for the other team. That's pretty interesting. Stop and let that sink in for a minute. not real sure I want my quarterback playing for the other team or taking cues from the other team. That's not good. That's not where you want your quarterback to be. So, Illinois and Maryland, this shout out is for you, and this is for all the great memes that you've been doing lately. We've really loved them. I mean, all of you do some great memes, but Illinois has been cracking me up in a really big way. So, really, really appreciate the laughs and all the wonderful memes that you've been doing. They're just really great, and we really appreciate them. So, we've got quite a story for you, and it comes off of Twitter. We talk about Twitter's where we live, and we're gonna be talking to a couple of great ladies about a really bizarre thing that happened to them. So I hope that you will stick with us through the break and stick with me through this first time producing. I'm really having a great time, but well, this is crazy. I don't know how Jared did it, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. You guys hold on.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
Lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of Liberservative Conservative.
Where no one is safe, no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. We lose freedom here. There's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
We are today facing a full-fledged constitutional crisis. The answer is not a monarch from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com. K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
Lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of Liberservative Conservative.
Where no one is safe, no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
Yeah, it's a Saturday night special. It's actually Thursday, and tomorrow is Friday, and so we should all be celebrating. And my mic was on mute. We should all be celebrating. It's not a Saturday night special. It's actually Thursday. I'm counting on you guys in the chat room to let me know when I'm not sounding good and you can't hear me. And we are actually don't have our guests, have not called in yet. So I am taking questions out of the chat room. Why don't you guys just ask me whatever you want to know? What do you want to know about the history of R&R? What do you want to know about how Red Nation Rising got started? What do you want to know about... I'm going to do this to you, Jim. What would you like to know about our founder? And, well, founder, I guess you could say maybe you found it on the internet. And executive director. What would you like to ask us about anything? I can answer any... And thank you, Jim. You can hear me just fine. I can answer just about any question about Red Nation Rising, I think, at this point that you want to know. Yeah, Cool in the Gang, celebrate. We are celebrating, dudes. The only thing that we're not celebrating right now is that I can't get our callers on the air. So we've let our station manager know that we're having some trouble with the call, and he's going to see if he can fix that for us. But I would like to take your questions. So let me just start a little bit to tell you the story of R&R. So I'm going to be Ted Cruz, since we were talking about Ted Cruz on the floor, and I'm going to filibuster a little bit while we're waiting to get our guests on the air, and I'm going to tell you a bedtime story. I'm going to tell you the story of R&R. So this is Red Nation Rising from my perspective. It was right after the election of 2012 that we'll never speak of again, and on Twitter as usual, and I saw this hashtag, Red Nation Rising, and I thought, heck yeah, that's exactly what we're doing, and I jumped on it immediately. Before you know it, I'm gonna drop that guy a message, tell him, let's get busy, let's get on this thing, I love it. Got to talking to Jim, and I really stood by and watched the whole thing explode. And I think that probably Jim Lysat would tell you the same thing, that he kind of sat by and watched the whole thing explode. It mushroomed. It got I won't say out of control, because nobody was trying to control it. So it wasn't a nuclear bomb, but it certainly did kind of go nuclear on us a little bit. Jim, I think I answered your question. I ran across it on Twitter like I think everybody did. I do remember dropping you the first message, however, Jim, and I remember your response to me, and it was pretty much just exactly what I said. Heck yeah, let's get on this thing. So, true story. It really is a true story, and it's a true story for a lot of people. Yeah, Katie, they are calling via Skype, and I hear it too, but I've let Rick know that I can't answer it, and it's probably the way that he and I connected before the show. So apologies for that, and hopefully we'll be able to get them on. And I hear the beeps too, Katie. They're getting voicemail. Hey, Katie, why don't you give a little lesson on trafficking? You're really kind of an expert on it too. Why don't you give a taste of what we're going to hear about from these ladies, and I'll get the ladies on the phone, and if you'll talk to the people in the chat room, I will just really quickly play another break, and we'll be right back.
Attention patriots, Red Nation Rising Radio is about to begin.
Please return your Republic to its original position and prepare for takeoff.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberal conservative.
Where no one is safe, no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your Redlands pop out of the
Spin cycle
segment.
has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
This group of tyrants wants to disarm us. They want to deny you and me our freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Keep your hands off our guns, damn it. My fellow patriots, I've had it, and I'm tired of seeing the Second Amendment treated like the bastard child of the Bill of Rights. All of you have to know that defending freedom is going to be a fight that has no end. And if you are going to stand with me, you can't be afraid to get your knuckles bloody. If you're going to stand with me, you have to be willing to resist any attempt by government to disarm law-abiding people by fighting with the ferociousness of a junkyard dog. Thank you. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Diane.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, very good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still trying to get our buddy Jody on the phone, but everyone should be really proud of me because this is a first for me, and it's not easy. This is a really hard job producing. But we're so glad to have you. Katie is in our chat room. Your friend Katie, I see her in the chat room, and she was the one that was letting me know that. Thank you, Katie, very much, letting me know that you were getting voicemail so that we could connect a different way. So, thank you so much for being on tonight, and we'll give you the rest of the show since we had so much trouble. So, and I'm still going to keep working on getting Jody on the phone too. But why don't you get us started with? We're really interested in what you guys have done up until, I guess it was a week ago Monday or something like that. It was the end of last week before the interaction with your would have been guest.
Right. Well, one of our very first shows that we put on was actually about human trafficking. That was when Laura Lee, who's also known as at LL Major on Twitter, was part of the show. And due to a time commitment, she was not able to take part every week. But she was involved in trafficking down in the Dallas area. And, we didn't realize the extent of just how serious it was in this country. And by the grace of God, I guess you could say, we were able to meet up with Katie on Twitter, who is GH-Katie, who, specializes in trauma psychology, and she deals on a one-on-one basis with a lot of human trafficking victims to help them. And it's just been something we've been very passionate about, spotlighting it on shows we try to do at least once a month in different parts of the world. We still have a couple of documentaries that we're...
Jody, I think I just cut Diane off. I'm here. Oh, hold on.
I just see you, though.
I know. I just cut, and we're on air. Say hello to everyone. I just
hello,
cut Diane
everyone.
off.
This kind of stuff only usually happens to us. So maybe we jinxed you, Lou.
Okay, I feel better. Okay.
So, poor Diane got disconnected.
Yeah, she did. She got disconnected, but she was telling us about the trafficking, and I think I have to hang up to get her back on the phone. So, she was telling us about the shows that you had done and how you had gotten into doing shows about, here we go.
Yes, we find this subject really near and dear to our hearts because we have daughters.
Okay, keep talking. I'm sorry. It might have cut you off for a second there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was still on or not.
Okay. Apologies to my audience because this is the craziest show that they've probably ever heard. And I'm really, really sorry, but it keeps pausing one of you when I put the other one on, and it won't add the two of you together. So,
well, if anyone has ever listened to our show, they know that this is absolutely normal for us.
Okay, great. Then maybe I'm going to have to just do one of you and apologize. Can you pick up where you left off, because you probably left our audience on the edge of their seat?
I'm not sure where I finished. I believe it was when we had met up with Katie on Twitter, and we just are really passionate about the subject. I mean, it's right in our backyard. We don't want to admit it's in our backyard, but it is. Just in my state, in New Hampshire alone, just in the past 2 weeks, they arrested a gentleman that was having directing prostitution at a local hotel in our state capital. And, I believe actually one of the trafficking victims basically sent a message to the police and said to come down. They went down. They arrested him on, gun charges of being a parolee. Come to find out, he was very heavily involved in national human trafficking in this country. So this guy is probably going to go away for life, which is good because that's another one off the street.
Yeah.
It's our latest thing that we're pretty upset about is that Amnesty International, pretty much is relaxing its policies on human trafficking, which Katie knows much more than I do on that, but it's like legitimizing trafficking, and that's unacceptable. It's a huge issue all over this world, especially in the Asian countries, where you can sit there in Taiwan or Thailand and you can walk in and buy a child for $5 for an hour. I mean, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
It is insane, and I'm really still looking to see if I can try to add Jody, but it is really crazy, and you're really passionate about this, and you've done a lot of work on it. You've done a lot of shows on it. You have been involved in this for a while, and it's something that you guys are really passionate about. And in the process of trying to bring awareness to this issue, there was an author that had written a book, and you invited her on your show.
Right. Jody, and she can talk more to this when she comes on, read an article. The woman is from Canada. And she read an article about the human trafficking. I had not had a chance to actually read it before all the fun started. And the next thing you know, I see a message from Jody like really? We invited you to talk about human trapficking. Well, apparently in a conversation that this woman had, because Jody was dealing with her, with a Daily Beast author, apparently, she apparently decided to read through our timeline. And we are also, another very passionate subject of ours is Planned Parenthood, which I think has upset so many people out there with what the videos that keep coming out. And we're very vocal about it, and we're going to continue to be vocal about it. Well, she took offense because apparently she is also a feminist. And basically on, an open TL, she basically said she stupidly agreed to come on our show and had read through our timeline, and as a matter of fact, went and tagged one of my comments from 2 or 3 weeks ago, and put it out there, basically saying she would never consider coming on a show with the, I can't remember her exact words, but it wasn't too kind about my comment. And I'm like, I'm not going to change my views on anything for anybody. And that's when I basically said, you're putting politics above people's lives, above a very serious subject of human trafficking, and we were not even going to be discussing Planned Parenthood. It was never going to come up. So there was back and forth. Her feminist buddies came out, and she and Jody were going back and forth too. And it's just, this is the first time I've run into it. I can be above and not look at someone's views and still listen to what they have to say if it's a shared subject that we believe in. And the irony of it was, and I had to put it on her TL, I said, see, the irony here is that we were going to have you on our show knowing your political views, and ideology. And here you are saying you're not going to be on ours because of ours. Who's the bigger person here? They can sit there and say I abused them, which I didn't swear at them, which is rare because normally they'll get the flip off.
Right, exactly, and that is the irony of it. So you knew her political views. You were going to have her on anyway because she had something that you wanted your audience to hear.
Exactly.
However, so it's our friend Stacy calls it shut-uppery. It's the shut-uppery of it. So it's like I don't want you to talk. I don't want to talk to you about this because there is one issue that we don't agree on. That is pretty hypocritical.
She basically said, if you want people to come on your show, you should probably make sure that you don't put tweets like that on your timeline. And I'm like, I am not going to back down from my views on things and shut my voice up just because of someone like you that might decide not to come on my show. Quite frankly,
so this is a girl
don't come
writes,
on it.
Right. So this is a girl who writes articles, but you, as someone with the internet radio show and a timeline, and you're not allowed your views, but she's allowed hers.
Exactly.
So does she go to people and say, can I interview you? And then I doubt it very seriously. I've never done that to anybody. I've been a spokesperson for 10 years. I've never said, no, I don't agree with you politically. I'm not going to let you interview me.
Exactly. It's like the subject was human trafficking. It was not Planned Parenthood. It was not about abortions. We were never even going to bring that subject up. It never even dawned upon me to even discuss that subject. I didn't know this woman even had an issue until she started posting, or tweeting the information about how we are radical, anti-choice, whatever.
So the really fascinating.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and the really fascinating thing is that it was a contributor for the
Daily Beast.
Yes, it was a contributor for the Daily Beast that brought it to her attention in the first place.
Exactly. And, I think Jody has a little more to input into this if you want to sit there and get her input on it.
She hung up on us. She's in the chat room, but I would like to, let me see, Jody, if I can add you via Skype one more time because I know that she's listening, and let me try to do this correctly. Yeah, it's not going to do it because I am not the one logged in to this actual account. I was actually added to the call. So it won't let me add anybody else to the call. But Jody, you know what? I'm going to try to call you back in a few minutes. And we'll switch from Diane to you. She says she's waiting for us to call. So we will definitely call you in a second, Jody, and let you give us your side of the story. But it was definitely a crazy Twitter thing. And it was the Daily Beast contributor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She she, I'm still irritated about it, to be honest with you. It's like, I just can't imagine. And I basically told her she was selfish. I said, you are selfish to put, your political views above such, a huge issue in this world. And I just cannot believe that anyone would sit there and actually do that. I just was, disgusted.
Right, yeah.
But you know what?
Weird.
If she wanted to come on our show, she would be more than welcome to come on it. Because I'm not going to sit there and say that you can't come on our show because you're an asshole. If you don't. Oh, am I supposed to swear on TV? I mean, on the radio or whatever?
No, I think that for now it's okay on our show. But but she was really arrogant and very condescending about the Planned Parenthood issue, and it's going to be really interesting in the future how the left actually handles this issue, because it's becoming more and more mainstream with every single video. So how are they going to handle that?
And
right?
By the way, her name is Megan Murphy. That was the name, and she actually is a writer and a journalist, and writes for Feminist Current. And we knew it was Feminist Current, so obviously when you have a feminist, chances are what their views are going to be. But she's telling me I'm not going to talk to you because of how you are with Planned Parenthood, and it's like, you live in Canada. You don't even have anything to do with Planned Parenthood.
Oh, no, not another Canadian. Really? They love to play in our politics. I don't understand
and
that.
I don't mind, because there's a lot of fantastic Canadians, but then you have someone like her that, and there's a few crazy Canadians too, but it's like, stick your nose out of our politics, but don't sit there and ridicule me because I have an opinion. Because, if you think you're going to be a feminist that's going to sit there and take on me, I have news for you. Like I always say, I'm from Massachusetts. You have no idea.
Yeah, that's true. I'll back you up on that one, Diane. But and I think that our station manager is now trying to get Jody on the phone with us, which will be absolutely great, because I'd love to have her in on this conversation. I think that we're missing something not having her here. But it's the issue of sex trafficking in particular. I know, and there's been a lot of the shows that I listen to that you guys have done. And I think Jody might be coming in. I sure hope so. And there's been a lot of the shows that I listen to.
Hello?
Hey, Jody. Yeah, she was listening to us. Thank you, Jody, for listening. We're so glad to have you on. I was telling Diane, I think we're missing something not having you on with us. So, you loud and clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We didn't have me logged in correctly, so sorry about that. But we are giving you. We've played all our breaks, trying to get the technical issues worked out. So we're giving you the rest of the show up until the end. So we do have plenty of time. So what would you like to add to what we've discussed already? I mean, we talked a little bit about the exchange, and Diane said it kind of came out of the blue. You were the first one to really be alerted by this author. I won't say her name. I don't want to give her any publicity, quite frankly.
I did.
I know. And feel free. But how did you find out?
Well, what happened is I read her article, and it was a great article, and I wanted to have her on to discuss the fact that people think decriminalizing prostitution is the answer. And it is not the answer. Other countries that have tried have shown that it actually still puts women at risk. And so she wrote about it. I recognized that it was a good article. So I reached out to her. I told her that I, was very interested in what she had to say. We agreed with her. And she said, sure, great. She would love to come on. So I gave her the show. I gave her At the Red Wine, how to find us on Twitter. I told her to please follow, and then in DM I would give her all the information she needed.
And how long ago was that? How far in advance did you talk to her?
I think it was on a Friday, and our show wasn't until the following Wednesday.
Okay, so she had time to check you out.
Sure. And she wrote back on Monday and said, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, and said Wednesday night wouldn't work. And I said, would you like to pre-tape? And she never got back to me. She did not say, no, I'm not, I just had a suspicion. And so I went and looked at her timeline, and sure enough, she was discussing with somebody else, and I retweeted some of her comments because, again, I agree with her opinion on this particular subject. And it was really funny because the Daily Beast contributor, a gentleman that she was talking to and actually having an argument with, said, it's really weird. We keep getting retweeted by this account. Like, what in the hell, why on earth would a Republican, leaning account want to retweet us?
Really?
And it's funny because that kind of led to an exchange between them. And she kind of said then, oh crap, I went and read their stuff and I need to back out. So then she actually responded after that. She responded and said, no, she could not pre-tape. It was not going to work for her. And meanwhile, she's writing on her timeline, it's because we are conservative and she's a socialist. So we kind of called her out.
Yeah. Is this another Twitter stunt? I'm getting really tired of Twitter stunts.
I wonder because I'm not sure if the Daily Beast guy had never said anything, if she would have done it. I'm not really sure because it's like I had said to her, we actually had an email exchange back and forth after that. And she said, I can't believe how horrible your followers are to me. And I said, well, quite frankly, I think they're all just astounded that your politics is in play on such a neutral topic. It's got nothing to do with your article. This is and it's funny because her followers, meanwhile, were saying politics is everything. You can never take politics out of things. I thought that was really interesting. So the socialist crowd thinks that politics can't be taken out of anything, and I really thought it was interesting that our crowd was saying we don't get it.
Right, and it's not interesting, it's truth, and it's been truth for a really, really long time, but it's becoming more and more clear now. I think it's because they're emboldened, people have different ideas about, why maybe, but Katie had announced the topic about Amnesty International, and that particular, so it really puts in the topic that you wanted to talk to her about, which is the change in Amnesty International's policy.
Right.
The irony is just so rich on this because tell me what that policy change is. Tell that, and Diane said a little bit about it, but when she said it, she said Jody actually knows more about it than me. So tell.
Well, what happened is that on the 11th of August, Amnesty International decided to kind of word spin. It's kind of word salad, and said, "Oh, it's empowering women by decriminalizing prostitution because selling their body because we should be empowering these women, and it's about equity." And so it actually, they said they voted to adopt a resolution that protects pimps and johns, is what it really meant. So in the countries that have, in some countries, like Sweden, for instance, they have punished the johns and the pimps, but they do not punish the woman. What they do is they get her counseling and help. Because seriously, how many women really choose selling their body as a means to employment.
Well, the names that the pimps have for their women, I think, would indicate exactly how they got in that position.
Yeah,
Right.
it's terrible. It's terrible. And so there are many organizations. One of the ones that we follow, Exodus Cry and the Polaris Project, they've both kind of said, what? This is not empowering women. This is actually hurting women. And again, this individual from Feminist Current wrote this article, and she basically kind of parroted everything I just said. So I kind of thought, boy, I would think that we'd be on the same page, that we could, have a discussion about this, and she could inform the audience why, why the reasoning, what her background, what she's discovered, etc.
Right.
So it was just kind of funny that she didn't really care to talk about it then.
Right.
Nope, as long as you are, she said specifically, because Diane, she quoted a tweet of Diane's that had the hashtag Planned Parenthood sells baby parts.
From the beginning of August. It was from August 4th. Right, Diane? Wasn't it the 4th?
It was August 4th, and it was like, first of all, stock much, because she didn't have to go back that far. I have them every day, so obviously that was the one that she took offense to.
That was the top. It must have been a top one. It must have been one of your top tweets. We did. Yeah. Katie is in the chat room, and she said a couple of really great things. One, she's tired of politics and trafficking. Katie, we agree. And she wants to know, do we know if the writer, the author, that I won't say her name, she didn't write for the Beast, right? For the Daily Beast.
No, she did not write for Daily Beast. She was in an argument, actually, because of this. He felt that it should be decriminalized. And so they were actually arguing, so it would have been a great way for her to say, look, people agree with me. And instead, she was so offended. Oh, my God, how dare these Republican women agree with me? So
yeah, but that's fun, isn't it? Isn't that kind of fun at the same time, though? Ha ha, you agree, we agree. So, and then our executive director is agreeing that that trafficking or saving a human life, neither of those should be a political thing. And I think I agree with them.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And this is why, this is the one topic, truly, in Washington that both sides of the aisle can completely get behind. They will have large support from everyone in the United States. How many people are not for stopping trafficking of children and women in the United States? I seriously, boys, girls, women. We had Jerome Elam on. If you got, I encourage all of your listeners to follow. He's at Jerome Elam. His story was it just, I think most of our audience was in tears. Boys are trafficked just as much as girls, truly, in the United States. And we need to stop it. It's 2015. The fact that this is still going on is mind-boggling.
I would definitely have to agree with you. And I remember I was a lot of people know this about me. I was an international relations major, and I'm not going to say how long ago, but it was a while. And even then, human trafficking was something that we studied a lot about, was something that we talked about a lot about, and it was a problem. And it's another one of those things that you hand the agenda over to the left, and it gets worse instead of better.
Well, the question is, human trafficking in the face of who's doing it could be your next door neighbor. It could be someone as high as in the State Department. Look at someone like, the Subway Jared Fogle, who was sitting there, basically buying teens for underage sex. I mean, the face of a pedophile is not one type of person. And that's the scary part of it. And you have to sit there and really, I think, start profiling them, if you will. I know people don't like that word, But there's usually signs. And I think Katie knows that probably better than, and Katie would be a great guest for you to have on your show if you did a show on human trafficking, because she is so smart.
Katie, we'll reach out to Katie, definitely. You guys send me, if you don't mind, her contact information. We'd love to have Katie on to talk about this, because I've heard some people, is she the girl that was on your show on the 1st of August?
Yes.
First week of August? Yes.
She works for the Glory House in Florida,
Did
which
a great
take
job.
in girls that have been trafficked and then work to rehab them, because it's, you can imagine their psyche after something like this.
Exactly, and I did
so
hear,
much-
I'm sorry, I heard her talking about having to separate the girls and the boys.
Yeah,
Right.
because I think, is it 45% or 47% of sexually trafficked victims are young boys and boys. I mean, a lot of people, when they put a face on a human trafficking victim, automatically picture girls, but boys are just as seriously abused as when we had our guest Jeremy Elam talk about that. When we did our very first show, we had people listening all the way in the Philippines. It was amazing what the demographics was about this show, because human trafficking is so prevalent worldwide.
Yeah, 4 to 5 million globally is the 2014 figure. The 2015 figure, if you go to the Red Wine on Twitter, I just tweeted the 2015 stats for the United States published from the government. So if people are interested in looking at that, they can see. But the Polaris Project is another excellent website that discusses sex trafficking, the numbers to call if you're suspicious, what to look for. Really, if anybody is in the hotel industry in the United States or abroad, it's really something that they should educate themselves in, because that's where a lot of the trafficking goes on.
In the hotel industry?
Yes. They say that, in fact, if you go on the Polaris Project, it's POLARIS project.com. You go on there, you can look, and they have a scroll down, and if you click on, I think it's community information or information, you can actually click on a specific hotel industry. It teaches people in the hotel industry what to look for. Truck drivers, they're a huge, they are great eyes for the police department, because they see so much at when they're, when they stay overnight at different places.
Right. I've heard truck drivers say that, actually. Yeah, I've heard truck drivers say that they see a lot, and and take their word for it. Don't really want to know what, but that's a really great point. But I think that's really interesting. That that's a big part of it. But the number's huge when you think about all the people in the world, and we're talking, about a subset of those people, and especially to have that happening here in the States. So, if you visit a country that you consider dangerous, or, an area that you consider dangerous, it's one thing. But so you kind of know that something might happen there, but to have those kind of things happening here is just really kind of disturbing. We expect to be a little bit more safe than that.
Well, I think, a big area that they're starting to crack down a lot more on is huge conferences, the Super Bowl, racing, where you're going to have huge amounts of people that, they basically have pimps that bring the girls in just specifically for this. And they don't leave that hotel room. They're just, sold so that the pimps make, I don't even know, $2,000, $3,000 a day for one girl alone. And they specifically bring them in for these purposes. And I think the police, along with some other federal agencies, are really starting to crack down on this a lot more. Is it enough? No, it's not enough. They need to do more. They absolutely need to do more. But we need to be the eyes. People out there need to be the eyes. If you see something that doesn't look right, it probably isn't right. and
I just want to say this quickly. Jared Day had an excellent tweet discussing Planned Parenthood. And in 2011, there was a sting operation, if you guys recall, where in New Jersey, they went into Planned Parenthood and they were asking, what if I bring in a 14-year-old? And she was saying they would fudge the paperwork. Well, in Alabama, there was a 14-year-old girl that had 2 abortions, and authorities were not notified. This is a huge way that traffickers, this is how they hide their crimes. A 14-year-old should not be able to get an abortion without somebody being notified in the authorities.
This is absolutely crazy, and I'm up against a hard break, and I'm so sorry for the technical problems and for you guys having to be like my guinea pigs my first time. Really sorry about that, but you guys were great and you were troopers, and thank you, Katie, for being in the chat room, and I hope that she will come on the show and talk more about human trafficking. And I appreciate you guys talking about your experience with the liberals left's no room to give kind of policy. So we really appreciate that. I still think it was a Twitter stunt. I will go to my grave believing that it was a Twitter stunt. She was trying to get attention, especially from the Daily Beast. But we appreciate you guys being on tonight, and we'll be back here next week, you guys. Same time, same place. And coming up after us is JD and Stacy, so stick around for them. And next week we have a surprise guest who may or may not be in our chat room at the moment. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much, Jody and Diane, and keep rising.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Yeah, I think we might be hot.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
Abolish the IRS. Take all 125,000 IRS agents and put them on our southern border.
That's us, that's right. Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Mom, no hand. I love this American ride. Gotta love this American ride.